Welcome to this podcast from Stratfor, leader in global intelligence.
Welcome to Stratfor. I'm Colin Chapman. G20 leaders kick off their summit in earnest in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today, having spruiked their various causes to their home media before departure. None have dared to voice what is in the minds of many, that enthusiasm for the G20 as a solver of economic problems will wane as the recession draws slowly to an end. This is particularly bothersome to all those middle-tier countries who saw G20 as a place where their voice could be heard, as distinct from G8, which is overweight in European representation and excludes countries like populous China, India, Indonesia and Brazil, and of course the whole of Africa and the Arab world. There are also items on the agenda on which there's unlikely to be any agreement on anything but the most bland of communique sentences. These include climate change, carbon trading, bankers' bonuses, and residual economic stimuli. At these meetings, many, if not most of the leaders, like to keep their differences to a minimum. So we may hear little about reform of financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund, despite the well-publicized hostility of some of the Europeans to the proposals tabled by the United States, which reduce the size of the IMF board and also the proportion of European representation on it. What seems to be happening is that the Europeans agree that countries like China and India should have more representation, but not at their expense. But before she boarded her flight to Pittsburgh, Europe's most powerful leader, Angela Merkel, said she didn't want this to become a central issue in Pittsburgh, and it may well not be. The German Chancellor faces a general election this Sunday and will be looking to a calm couple of days so she can coast to victory. The spat about stimulus that characterized the last G20 will not be repeated, partly because of signs of an uplift in many economies, but also because of changing circumstances and changing views from some leaders, most noticeably Britain's Gordon Brown, who had to confess, and I use that word advisedly, that big cuts in public spending were on the way and soon, even though not long ago he indicated otherwise. Japan will have a new representative, Prime Minister Yukio Hatoyama. He's been doing the rounds at the United Nations and now in Pittsburgh, doing his best to convince people he's a safe pair of hands and a good person to do business with. Shrewdly, as Stratfor reports in an analysis published this morning, Hatoyama is looking hard at ways in which he can improve Japan's relationship with all the major powers, not just the United States. His showing at G20 is all about making his mark. What will they agree on? Well, widely trailed has been the new capital requirements on banks, essential to ensure they can't be knocked over so easily. There'll also be a number of generalizations. Oh yes, and an agreement that they'll be meeting again in 6 months' time, probably in either Beijing or Tokyo. Stratfor will continue to keep you posted. I'm Colin Chapman. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.